Hey guys, it's your boy Vladis, and I'm back creating Ashes of Creation content. Today, I want to ask a question. Is the economy in Ashes of Creation completely broken? From static node rarity flooding markets with legendaries, to mob drops ruining crafting, high sky material costs, and processing fees leaving us broke, there's a lot to unpack. We're testers, so let's break it down, call out the good, the bad, and the ugly, and figure out how Intrepid can fix all this. Sit back, drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's dive in. Let's tackle a critical flaw in Ashes of Creation's Alpha 2 Phase 3 economy, static node rarity for Gatherables, compounded by colored trees and flowers for herbalists and lumberjacks. This system is undermining progression, flooding markets, and requires top priority to be removed from the game. Static node rarity affects lumberjacks, herbalists, and miners, where gatherable nodes like trees, flowers, and rocks can be fixed rarity levels. For example, a legendary node guarantees high rarity materials like weeping willow logs, bluebell herbs, regardless of the player's skill. Players exploit this by marking these nodes on their maps, returning every 2 to 4 hours when they respawn, farming them multiple times within a 24-hour reset cycle. A single legendary tree yields 5 logs per harvest, can produce dozens of high rarity materials in a single day for dedicated players. Additionally, for herbalists and lumberjacks, colored nodes like light daffodils or oddly colored trees signal uncommon to legendary drops, making them easy to spot and farm. Miners face static node rarity but lack these visual cues, while fishing and hunting nodes appear unaffected by the system, creating an uneven experience across professions. This setup causes 2 major issues. First, static node rarity ignores profession stats, levels, and tools for lumberjacking, herbalism, and mining, rendering progression skill meaningless. A novice can get a legendary just by being lucky enough to find the legendary node. No expertise required. Hey guys, Future Vladis here. I've re-recorded this probably 3 times, so this is going to be completely unscripted. But originally, this section was supposed to be about the different color grades when it came to Gatherables. There was like trees and daffodils. Of course, we all know the light colored daffodils produced Uncommon Plus. There were certain darker colored trees that produced Uncommon Plus. That's hopefully been fixed by today's update. I'm recording this now of Tuesday of 3:26 p.m. And then I recorded it again because then we were aware on Saturday that there was this dot issue, and that has already been fixed as well as of today. But there's also even something else that's even more diabolical, even more of a bigger issue than even the dot. And that is an overlay that supposedly Supple and other guilds have. And what this overlay does is it literally tells you, because a lot of the Gatherables have IDs that are client side, will tell you this is an uncommon, this is an epic, this is a legendary. Just when you're looking out, it'll look at all of your screen, it'll detect a Gatherable, and it'll tell you what rarity that Gatherable is. This is huge. And apparently this has been going on for a while, since phase 1. So if you ever wondered how these, top guilds got gear so fast of like, legendary or even epic quality, this is why probably. So I really don't know what Intrepid can do to fix this. This is, again, one of the biggest issues when it comes to playing on an even playing field. And right now, clearly people aren't doing that. Everybody is trying to get an edge in an alpha, which is, again, wild to me. But hey, people want to measure their EPing. I get it. But I really don't know how Intrepid's going to fix this quickly. I don't think this is going to be a quick fix. But it definitely needs to be fixed before a wipe can even be called into question. Like, seriously. This is probably a bigger issue than I could have imagined. And because there's only a few guilds that have access to this overlay, it makes it even more critical, because those people will have an insane advantage over the rest of us now. So Intrepid, please, I don't know what you can do to fix this. If you need to make basically every Gatherable ID dev side instead of client side, please do this. God, may God help us. Let's address another major flaw in Ashes of Creation's economy: early mob drops of completed gear. Patch-related chaos and a broken crafting system have disturbed the intended design, undermining artisans and skewing the economy. The community has long expected mob drops to prioritize crafting in Ashes of Creation. Glint should be a common drop providing currency for players. Recipes essential for crafters to create gear and weapons should be uncommon from humanoid mobs. Completed gear, however, should be much rarer. Common Tier 1 gear with minimal stats should be a rare drop, while uncommon gear, equivalent to heroic rarity, should be even scarcer. Higher rarities like epic or legendary gear should almost never drop from regular mobs. Early in Phase 3, a patch disrupted this balance by increasing gear drops, flooding the game with heroic, epic, and even legendary gear from 3-star elite mobs. A later patch removed the buff to mob drops, but players who farmed early kept their high rarity gear, creating an uneven economy. This was compounded by a broken crafting system, exorbitant material costs, bugged profession benches, and a non-functional recipes, leaving players reliant on mob drops instead of crafting. This imbalance has crippled Phase 3's economy. The flood of high rarity gear devalued crafted items, while crafted bugs and high costs made artisan professions nearly unusable. Early players gained a disproportionate advantage, undermining the player-driven economy Ashes was aiming for. The intended design, where recipes are more accessible than gear to support crafters, was lost in this mess. The solution is to restore the original vision: glint as a common drop, recipes as uncommon from humanoids, common Tier 1 gear as rare, and uncommon gear even rarer, with epic and legendary being almost mythical from named mobs. Named mobs could drop rare Tier 2 or even Tier 3 recipes to reward challenging content without saturating markets. To balance rare gear drops, Intrepid could implement deconstruction kits that yield more materials from mob-dropped gear than crafted gear, incentivizing crafting over farming. Critically, Intrepid must fix the crafting system, lower material costs, resolve bugs in benches and recipes, and to make artisan professions viable. Phase 3 economy feels like a wash due to these issues. Intrepid has been fixing recipes, profession benches, and economy woes as the recording of this video. Next, we're going to talk about rarity and how it should scale with your artisan gear. Let's discuss how rarity and profession stats should function in Ashes of Creation's economy once static node rarity is removed. A stat-based rarity system is essential to restore progression, reward skill, and balance the economy for gathering professions. With static node rarity eliminated, gathering for lumberjacks, turbalists, and miners should rely entirely on profession stats to determine drop quality. At the novice level, players start with crude tools and no artisan gear, meaning they should primarily gather common and uncommon materials, perhaps with a 1% chance at a rare drop. Higher rarities like heroic through legendary should be inaccessible without investing in better tools and artisan gear. As players craft improved tools, such as an uncommon axe for lumberjacks, or artisan gear like an uncommon artisan shirt, their stats improve, unlocking heroic drops and increasing the likelihood of rarer materials. This creates a clear progression path where skill and investment directly enhances rewards, ensuring gathering feels rewarding and purposeful. When players reach level 10 and certify as an apprentice, the rarity system should reset for the new tier. Novice tools and novice gear would have no effect on apprentice level nodes, limiting players to common and uncommon drops with a 1% chance at rare, just like at novice. This reset ensures each certification tier, novice, apprentice, and beyond, has distinct progression, giving tools and gear-specific value within their tier. For example, a player aiming at Grandmaster Mining would craft only what's needed to progress through Novice, then sell or pass those tools to guildmates, fostering trade and cooperation. This system incentivizes long-term investment in professions while keeping the economy balanced by preventing early access to higher rarity materials. To support this, profession stats, improved through tools, gear, and eventually talent trees, should drive rarity outcomes. Better stats means better chances at valuable drops, aligning with Ashes of Creation's vision of a skill-driven economy. This is how rarity should work in Ashes of Creation, and I'm sure the economy team is doing everything in their power to remove static node rarity from the game and making rare materials rare again. Next, we'll explore the excessive cost of processing and crafting. Let's tackle a major issue in the current economy: the crippling costs of processing for weaving and lumber milling. High fees and mandatory vendor reagents prevent players from utilizing full batch sizes, stifling progression, and requiring an urgent revaluation of pricing costs. Processing materials at benches for weavers and lumber millers is far too expensive. At Novice, processing 20 snowdrops for weaving or 20 oak, ash, or western larch for lumber milling costs 5 silver in processing fees, 6 silver and 60 copper for the 20 vendor reagents, and 20 fuel. At Apprentice, processing 20 bluebell or 20 weeping willow jumps to 1 gold, 27 silver in fees, and 1 gold, 69 silver, 20 copper for reagents. This is also with the 10% tax cut. In Phase 2, Players processed around 150 to 200 materials per batch very commonly. Phase 3's economy leaves many gold-starved. Vendor reagents offer no benefit, acting as a mandatory gold sink, especially frustrating when processing hundreds of materials for armor, bags, weapons, or settlements. These costs disrupt the economy by inflating processed material prices, which raises crafting and market costs. Novice players face a steep barrier despite the tier's intended accessibility, and the apprentice cost spikes discourage progression in weaving and lumber milling. On a positive note, the adventuring experience from processing batches is well-tuned and should remain unchanged. The solution is clear. Intrepid must slash processing fees and make vendor reagents optional at novice and apprentice. Reagents should enhance outcomes like boosting yield or quality rather than being a tax. For example, novice fees could drop to 1 silver per 20 material, with optional reagents increasing uncommon yields. Apprentice fees should scale gradually to support larger batches. This would enable players to process 150 to 200 materials again, boosting crafting and stabilizing markets. In this phase, we have and the have-nots. Processing and crafting should be profitable, not leaving you in the red. Now we're going to be talking about quantity of materials for crafting. Let's talk about crafted gear and making it in phase 3. The absurd material quantities for crafting in weaponsmithing, armorsmithing, carpentry, and arcane engineering is insane. These professions fuel gear and weapon production, but excessive costs make chase items pointless, demanding an urgent fix. Tier 1 crafts in novice, apprentice, and journeyman are meant to be accessible for solo players, enabling easy entry for crafting. Tier 2 and 3 are designed as chase items to work towards while leveling, but the material costs are way off. Take the novice Tier 3 Verdant Oath Thorn Cleaver, a two-handed sword needing 1 sword's final touches, 2 Riverlands essences, 3 Verdant Oath emblems, 60 copper fragments, 30 zinc fragments, and 20 ash timber, and 10 granite weapon molds. Almost manageable, but needing about a 10% reduction. At Apprentice Tier 3, the Forsaken Blade's Greatsword requires 5 swords final touches, 8 Riverlands essences, 20 Forsaken emblems, 152 copper ingots, 10 tin fragments, 60 ash boards, and 2 tough to craft slate weapon molds. A 40 to 50 reduction is definitely needed. Journeyman crafts demand over 1,000 materials, needing about a 50 to 60 cut in material costs. The scaling is nonsensical. If Journeyman requires thousands, should Grandmaster hit hundreds of thousands? Worse, leveling is pretty easy, that Tier 1 crafts cover all you need, making Tier 2 and Tier 3 pointless despite the chase status. These costs break the economy by making high-tier gear scarce, inflating market prices, and discouraging players from crafting beyond Tier 1. Solo players, especially at Tier 1 of any bracket, should find crafting approachable, but the current system kills the incentive to pursue chase items. The fix is simple. Slash material requirements. Tier 3 novice needs about a 10% cut, like dropping the Thorn Cleaver's copper fragments from 60 to 54. Apprentice needs about a 40 to 50% reduction, reducing the Great Sword's copper ingots from 152 to anywhere between 76 and 91. Journeyman needs about a 50 to 60% reduction to make chase items worthwhile. Tier 1 crafts in every bracket must stay accessible for solo players. Intrepid must clarify if Journeyman is meant to feel like endgame, or they just need to fix the scaling to avoid the absurd Grandmaster costs. How do you feel about crafting? Are the materials required for Tier 2 and Tier 3 too out of reach for you? Please let me know down in the comments. Subscribe for more Ashes of Creation content, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, guys.